paradigm or model today. But conceptual framework and methodology of modern growth theories are a little bit different from the older ones. In the previous theories, can I have a next slide? In the previous theories, you must have seen this is the basic difference between the new growth theory. You will come across wherever the theory is mentioned, it's mentioned that this theory belongs to neoclassical or classical school of thought. There is also one another distinction between the theories. The theory is an old growth theory or a new growth theory or a modern theory. In terms of our new growth theory, as you can see, it's written over here. It is different in concept and it is also different in its methodology. The new growth theory, as you can see, is an economic concept positing that human desires an unlimited want, foster ever increasing productivity and economic growth. So that's what economists rely upon, that human wants are unlimited and they will keep on, so hence people will keep on, push for ever increasing productivity and economic growth. So the basic motivating factor or basic factor which lies behind the economic growth is human unlimited wants. The new growth theory argues that real GDP per person will perpetually increase because of people's pursuit of profit. Although the new growth theory has argued that this has not translated itself into reality. The world has seen the worsening in terms of a per capita income and a high income inequality gap. So there is a bit, this particular second part of the new growth theory is under scanner, and even it's questionable because somehow this has not happened. But still, there has been a shift from the classical school of thought to the new growth, and hence the even your syllabus has divided the theories into the new growth theory and the old growth theory. Next slide. In the next slide, you will see one very important factor. Modern theory of economic growth mainly focuses, as you can see over here, two channels of inducing growth through expenses spent on research and development on the core component of knowledge innovation. This is where the deviation has happened. This is where it is different from the old one, and this has been translated into reality because now the whatever is inducing growth is not a sector wise growth. It is rather the growth or the expenses or the expenditure that the governments are spending on R&D and on the core component of knowledge innovation. So now knowledge-based uh, sectors have gained importance, and sectors like agricultural or the primary goods sector have lost that kind of importance in terms of inducing growth. They are important. They are important for sustenance. But for earlier, in 50s and 60s, they are important for inducing growth as well. But now that shift has happened. Now they don't induce growth. It is the services sector that induces growth. So in services sector is basically a knowledge innovation and a lot of R&D is required in that sector. Hence, that's an important sector from the point of view of component of knowledge. Then take a look at the second part. First channel is the impact on the available goods and services, and the other one is the impact on the stock of knowledge phenomena. So the balance has to be there. The stock of the goods and services have to be there. So एक side है growth का where the expenditure is happening on producing goods and services with all kind of R&D being infused into that, and the other side is impact on the stock of knowledge phenomenon. How much knowledge people have, how much knowledge is being converted into resource creation, or rather I will use the word capital creation. There is a conversion is happening, like when we create a skill, or let's say when we create a human capital, then we are creating a knowledge, stock of knowledge phenomenon. So if we are infusing a knowledge and passing on knowledge, either it doesn't matter from what channel we are passing it, but if we are doing it, we are creating a human capital. Another concept of knowledge phenomenon or a stock of a knowledge phenomenon comes from sectors like KPOs and BPOs, which are able to utilize that particular knowledge phenomenon into converting it into, as you can say, a sector based, or converting it into a sector which will have, if anything, see, if anything has the capacity to, like, let's take a knowledge. Knowledge is an input as well as output. Knowledge is a very interesting phenomenon. You can use it as an input, and sometimes when you're coming out of colleges or you're taking degrees, it works as an output. That was the final outcome of that particular, that particular phenomenon. So institutions is giving out output in the form of a knowledge, and then knowledge is being used as an input to produce further goods and services. So hence knowledge you can say knowledge is a dual role to play when it comes to modern technology, sorry, modern societies. That is why knowledge has been given importance in a modern growth theory. Next slide. This is a very important concept, theory and conceptual. What is the basic difference? Because my heading was conceptual framework and the methodology of the new growth theory. First, you have to understand what is a conceptual and theoretical. Theoretical, as it's written over here, is an existing theory. Whatever is existing, that is a theory. Theoretical framework होता है. जैसे आपने कहा the propensity to consume में there is a relationship between income and consumption. That is a theory. But then you say that when income increases, consumption also increases, but not at the same rate as income increases. And when you make some model or based on this particular theory, that will be that is known as conceptual. That is, it is something you can develop your theory upon. So हमेशा एक चीज याद रखिएगा, whenever you are doing or writing a paper, the research paper have to be either theoretical or it has to be conceptual. The conceptual meaning you are taking a theory, based upon that you are actually building your own structure. So when you build your own structure, that part is known as conceptualization of the model or conceptual framework. Uh, Here, what's the importance in the new growth theory of conceptual framework? Conceptual framework changed dramatically when the new growth theory was introduced. Earlier, the theoretical framework was relied upon, and mostly the concept or the conceptual framework was based on upon the classical assumptions. The previous theories, as you would have seen, have used mostly internal factors, which means endogenous. Exogenous factors are not used as much in the previous or older theories. Now you will see that there has been a shift in the conceptual framework because Harrod-Lumen model took the theory as it is, but built their own framework. A very good example of this is use of multiplier in the Domus model, which you will study. Then the use of saving and MEC, the concept that was already existing, it was already there. They just put it in that frame of theirs. So this is known as conceptual framework. When the concepts are already existing or the theory is already there, you build your own model or conceptual framework over that theory. Next slide. In the next slide, what you will see is basically the model itself. So because the new growth theory starts with this model, Harrod-Lumen model. Very important model in terms of economic development theories. Both of them are different people. As it's written over here that Keynesian model of economic growth, it is based on actually Keynesian model of economic growth. It is used in development economics to explain economy's growth rate in terms of level of saving and capital. Keynesian model of economic growth were already existed before Harrod-Lumen model, so they took the theory part and built a concept over it. Now, the another thing is Keynesian model has its own assumptions as compared to classical. Short-term economics, a lot of importance given to the demand side. The supply side is generally kept static in a Keynesian model. He gives a lot of importance to underemployment. He said that even if that he criticized the theory of full employment, and he says underemployment exists in an economy. And you can even have a growth when there is an existence of underemployment. He was the first person who said that there is a difference between demand and supply. Whenever there is a difference between demand and supply, there will be an inflationary gap in the economy. So all the concepts of Keynesian theory pointed out to the fact that the growth is possible even with all these shortcomings. He gave a lot of importance to spending and capital. Uh, Keynesian economics is a American economics basically. Keynesian economics, people who believe in Keynesian economics believe in an American model. And American model is capitalism. So Paradigm model also, falls in that framework, capitalism. Next slide. I'll discuss about warranted growth rate a little further. Okay, you take a look at this. Very simple diagram stating what did they had in mind, what were they trying to do with this model. So they said that the rate of economic growth depends upon three things: saving ratio, NEC, and capital depreciation. Uh, Defining each of three rate of economic growth based on saving ratio. As it's written over here, saving ratio, so you can write in front of it a saving ratio, meaning C is rather okay, right. G is equal to G is equal to. I'll give you an actual growth rate की मैं ये equation इसको मत लिखिए आप लोग रहने दीजिए आप लोग कीनीजियन की जरा theory लिखते हो equation लिखिए कीन्स की equation लिखिए y is equal to c plus s पहले simple equation लिखिए y is equal to c plus s अब इसके आगे लिखिए c is equal to y minus c c is equal to y minus c this is from the consumption side. This is for the consumption side. His equation stands for that y or income can be divided to consumption and saving. And if you want to, let's say, find out consumption, that it means income has to be deducted from saving, or S is equal to 1 minus C. These are the simple concepts. Then he gave one more equation. That was his growth equation. वो लिख लीजिए. Y is equal to C plus I plus G. ये बहुत बार सुना होगा आप लोगों ने. Y is equal to C plus I plus G. Y जहाँ लिखा है उसमें नीचे लिख दीजिए सबस्क्रिप्ट में AD. Because his was the concept, he gave the concept of aggregate demand. So Keynesian economics is based on aggregate demand. Aggregate demand means demand of consumption goods as well as investment goods. So he said our aggregate demand is equal to consumption, as you can see, consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure plus G government expenditure. इसमें प्लस एक और ऐड करिए तो उसमें लिख लीजिएगा NX. NX means net exports. Net exports means exports minus imports. That's how you figure out net exports. So the equation goes YAD is equal to C, that is a consumption expenditure, investment, consumer expenditure plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. Now in this case, I is actually planned investment है ये. So planned investment, that is all the social overhead capital. This is the equation that we take. Harrod-Owen model is very much based on this equation. So take this is the equation from the demand side. एक पहली वाली equation इसकी demand side से है. दूसरी वाली equation जो है उसकी output या growth equation. ना यहाँ पे ग्रोथ रेट की बात की गई है तो यहाँ पे ग्रोथ रेट को उसने कहा सेविंग रेशियो पे एनईसी पे और कैपिटल डेप्रिसिएशन पे डिपेंड करती है. आपको एक चीज दिख रही होगी सेविंग रेशियो टर्म जो है वो इनकम से आया है because as I have given you equation y is equal to c plus s. तो saving ratio s y s small लिख के जब हम y बड़ा लिखेंगे तो that means saving is the ratio of income. इसलिए उसका बेस कीनीजियन ही है लेकिन उसने उसके कुछ एस्पेक्ट्स को ही दिया है, नॉट ऑल द कीनीजियन और theory. फिर उसने मार्जिनल एफिशिएंसी ऑफ कैपिटल को लिया है। एनईसी बिल्कुल ही डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है फ्रॉम द डिमांड साइड से। we'll discuss that later. And capital depreciation को फिर लिया। depreciation means जो वियर एंड टियर है वो निकाल के जो कैपिटल बचेगा वो दिया गया। सो ग्रोथ टियर का 3 चीजों पे डिपेंड करेगी। आपकी कंट्री का सेविंग रेशियो क्या है, आपकी कंट्री की एनईसी क्या है, मार्जिनल एफिशिएंसी ऑफ कैपिटल क्या है, और आपकी कंट्री का कैपिटल डेप्रिसिएशन का रेट क्या है। If the rate of the capital depreciation is very high, and in that case you have to put lot of income into, or you have to keep a certain chunk of money aside to maintain the vintage capital. We'll come back to it. That's a different thing altogether. So 3 things याद रखिएगा, इसी पे आगे चलेगा मॉडल। Next slide. Okay, the next slide, see it's written over here, level of saving, higher saving enable greater investment in capital stock. So that's clear. This refers to the productivity of investment. If machine costing 30 million pound increases output by 10 million pound, the capital output ratio is 3. Simple concept of NEC. NEC को बहुत सिंपली अगर जानना हो तो उसको जब हम लोग पढ़ाते हैं in marginal efficiency of capital, so we give an example of any particular machinery, या for example fan. अगर फैन को आपने खरीदा है करीब let's say 2000 रुपीज का आपका फैन है, और उसकी जो शेल्फ लाइफ है लेट्स से उसकी 10 से 15 साल शेल्फ लाइफ आपको बताई गई है फैन की। लेट्स 10 लेते हैं फॉर सिंपलिसिटी से। तो क्या होता है कि जो 2000 रुपए हैं आपने पे किए हैं, उसको 10 साल में डिवाइड किया जाता है। द सर्विसेज विद द फैन विल गिव यू इन द 10 years विल बी इक्वल टू द अमाउंट यू हैव पेड। वो एक दिन में वो सर्विस नहीं देगा, उसको डिवाइड किया जाता है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 10। यही चीज यहाँ पे लिखी है, इट रिफर्स टू द प्रोडक्टिविटी ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट। इन्वेस्टमेंट कर देना इनफ नहीं है। That is why there are 2 kind of investment. There is a productive investment, there are non-productive investment. तो अगर आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट ऐसी जगह किया है जहाँ पे कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो देखिए यहाँ पे लिखा है, हाउ मच कैपिटल यू हैव स्पेंड एंड हाउ मच आउटपुट यू हैव गॉट। If machine costing 30 million pound increase output by 10 million, the capital output ratio is 3. That means 30:1, 3:1 का रेशियो चल रहा है। 3 यूनिट कैपिटल लगाना पड़ रहा है to get 1 unit of output. This is the concept of NEC. Countries like India have a very अच्छा capital output ratio high हो, that is not good. हाई कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो का मतलब है कि अगर आपको ज्यादा कैपिटल लगाना पड़ रहा है और आउटपुट कम आ रहा है तो दैट इज नॉट गुड। आपकी एफिशिएंसी कंट्री की उसी में दिखेगी, एफिशिएंसी ऑफ एलोकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, ऑफ ऑप्टिमल यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज उसी से एविडेंट होगा जब कैपिटल कम लगे या आउटपुट ज्यादा हो। तो इसलिए कंट्रीज लाइक इंडिया हैव अ वेरी पुअर ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड व्हेन इट कम्स टू कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो, क्योंकि एक मशीन खरीद लेना इंडिया में 30 मिलियन पाउंड की इनफ नहीं होगा। मशीन के साथ उसकी बहुत सारी चीज़ें और एक्सेसरीज आती हैं जो कि होनी अवेलेबल होनी चाहिए, प्लस एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ पावर अवेलेबल होनी चाहिए, प्लस एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ हेल्दी इन्वायरमेंट, प्लस एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ सेफ इन्वायरमेंट, प्लस एडिक्वेट अमाउंट ऑफ वर्किंग आवर्स ऑफ लेबर। कई चीज़ें इसमें मिलती हैं तब ये आउटपुट निकल रहा है। So there is what I'm trying to say that एक चीज नहीं है होती है इसमें। So that's what you have to understand. Capital output ratio का phenomenon जो है तो केवल मशीन ही नहीं है, there are many factors involved in that. So countries like India have actually a very low capital output ratio. So as a result हमें बहुत capital लगाना पड़ता है to get the 1 unit, और हमारा जो capital output ratio है वो है 7.5:1. This is an average. 7.5:1 is very high, whereas USA have the capital output ratio of 3:1 or rather 2.5:1. तो उनका काफी अच्छा है, उनको बहुत कम कैपिटल लगाना पड़ता है क्योंकि वो एफिशिएंट बहुत है। एलोकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज इज वेरी एडुकेट। आवर्स एलोकेशन हम लोगों का अच्छा नहीं है, क्वालिटी अच्छी नहीं है चीजों की जो कैपिटल हम लगाते हैं। तो एनईसी का कॉन्सेप्ट के बाद उसने कहा डेप्रिसिएशन, सो एज यू कैन सी ओवर हियर ओल्ड कैपिटल गियरिंग आउट, तो उसके लिए जो पैसा रखना होता है। तो ग्रोथ रेट इन तीनों चीज़ों पे डिपेंड करती है। अगर आपकी डिप्रिसिएशन कॉस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा है कंट्री में, विच मीन्स ओल्ड विंटेज कैपिटल या विंटेज कैपिटल बहुत ज़्यादा है आपके पास, तो फिर कोई फ़ायदा नहीं, ग्रोथ रेट होगी नहीं। तो या तो दो चीज़ें करिए, डिप्रिसिएशन कॉस्ट ज़्यादा रखिए जिससे मेंटेनेंस हो, या फिर दूसरी तरफ आप नया कैपिटल लाइए जिसकी डेप्रिसिएशन कॉस्ट कम होती है क्योंकि वो न्यू मशीन होती है। ईदर वे द कंट्रीज हैव टू चूज, बिकॉज कैपिटल लगता है इसको मेंटेन करने में। So depreciation hence is a tricky business. Next slide. In the next slide, you will see a simple diagram again. You can draw this if you want to. Harrod-Domar model, increased investment. यहाँ से देखिए. Increased investment leads to higher capital stock and higher economic growth, which leads to higher increased saving. ये जो हायर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ और इंक्रीज सेविंग के बीच का एरो है, ये इतना सिंपल नहीं होगा, यहाँ पे बहुत लीकेजेस होंगे। हायर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ और इंक्रीज सेविंग सीधे नहीं होता, कन्वर्ट नहीं होता है, बहुत सारे लीकेजेस होते हैं। लीकेजेस मीनिंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कंजम्पशन। जैसे ही हायर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ ट्रांसलेट करेगी पर कैपिटा इनकम में, पीपल विल नॉट सेव ऑटोमेटिकली। ऑटोमेटिक नहीं है कि 100% इनकम सेव हो जाएगी, तो लीकेज होगा उसमें इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कंजम्पशन। अब वो कंजम्पशन कितना वेस्टफुल कंजम्पशन करते हैं लोग, कितना प्रोडक्टिव कंजम्पशन करते हैं, ये तो आपकी पॉपुलेशन पे डिपेंड करता है, पॉपुलेशन नेचर। बिकॉज अगेन माइक्रो का कॉन्सेप्ट यहाँ लगेगा कि इरेशनल कंज्यूमर है अगर, तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा सेविंग नहीं करेगा, स्पेंडिंग ज़्यादा होगी। सो इंक्रीज सेविंग इसलिए एक ट्रिकी कॉन्सेप्ट है। सेविंग और इन्वेस्टमेंट एस इज इक्वल टू आई, ये तो बहुत कीनेसियन कॉन्सेप्ट है ही, but then from where will you get this increased saving? Automatic translation of higher economic growth into increased saving does not happen, and that is why Domer did not give this. ये वाला supply side से है, Domer gave the concept of economic growth from the demand side, तो वो ज़्यादा relatable भी है और वो ज़्यादा convert हो सकता है actual growth में as compared to this model. This is more idealistic model, I always believe. Next slide. In the next slide, it's written that they both have similarity. Actually, Harrod was a British, so as the English version of Domer model. Both these models stress the essential condition of achieving and maintaining steady growth. Harrod and Domer assign a crucial role to capital accumulation in the process of growth. In fact, they emphasize the due role of capital accumulation. Very important thing. अपनी copies में लिख लीजिए. Basic, what can we say? Basic tool of economic growth according to Harrod-Domer model. This is all for net. Basic tool of Harrod-Domer model is in fact they emphasize the dual role of capital accumulation. Capital accumulation दोनों की similarity भी बता रहा है because they all both believed in this, and ये भी बता रहा है कि what was the tool they were relying on. They both were relying on this tool. Dual role of capital accumulation और investment भी आप देख सकते हैं. Dual role of investment हमेशा पूछा जाता है, what do you mean by dual role of investment? Dual role of investment is that investment creates income on the one hand and it also creates productive capacity on the other. Because investment, as I said, saving is equal to investment and S is equal to I, and delta I is equal to K times delta Y. So delta I is equal to K times delta Y का मतलब है जितना delta increase in investment होगा वो जितना भी multiplier होगा K उतना time increase हो जाएगी income. So hence it increases income on one hand and it also increases productive capacity on the other, because I is capital accumulation and or I is nothing but MEC. तो MEC means productivity of investment. तो दोनों तरफ से इसलिए ड्यूल रोल है इन्वेस्टमेंट का in terms of Harrod-Domer model. Okay, main assumptions of Harrod-Domer model. Next slide. Anybody can read this? Main assumption. Anybody can read this? What, you forgot reading something? On कष्ट करो. हाँ संस्कृत चल. Can you hear me संस्कृत?
First point.
हाँ हाँ पढ़ो बेटा. हेलो. काजल तुम रीड कर दो बेटा.
Okay, ma'am. The main assumption.
हाँ संस्कृति just wait your संस्कृति just wait बेटा. I think your network is not fine. Can she hear us? Sanskriti, just wait. Just wait for a while. Let Kajal read. I think your network is not working properly, or you can, because we can't hear you. Beta. Chalo, Kajal.
The main assumptions of the Harrod-Dumel model are as follows. First, a full employment level of income already exists. Second, there is no government interference in the functioning of the economy. Third, the model is based on the assumption of closed economy. In other words, government restrictions on trade and the complications caused by international trade are ruled out.
Hmm. Just do me a favor. Read the next slide also. Okay. Next slide, beta. Yes.
There are no lags in adjustment of variables, that is, the economic variables such as savings, investment, income, expenditure adjust themselves completely within the same period of time. This point, the average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save are equal to each other. So APS is equal to MPS.
ठीक है. S upon Y is equal to delta S upon delta. ठीक है. Thank you. I think there are more, but we'll get back to you later. Diksha, पीछे करो slide. Thank you, Kajal. Main assumption of the Harrod-Dumel model, the previous one. Previous one, जहाँ से main assumption शुरू हुई. Okay, the main assumption of the Harrod-Dumel model are as follows. The first assumption is a full employment level of income already exists. So you can write it down if you want to, although there is these are all mentioned in PPT. Main assumption is full employment level of income already exists. Full employment level of income, इसका meaning क्या है? A full employment level of income already exists. What do you mean by this term? Anybody has an idea? What does full employment of income already exists? What does this mean? Anybody has an idea? What does it mean, a full employment level of income? इसका मीनिंग लिखिए पहले. Assumptions को ऐसे ही नहीं पढ़ा करिए. Assumptions की मीनिंग नहीं पता है तो फिर थियरी नहीं पता करिए. इसका मीनिंग लिखिए. A full employment level of income. It means that there will be a maximum level of output. There will be a maximum level of output where everyone available is employed, where everyone available is employed, where everyone available is employed, and no more output can be produced. where everyone available is employed and no more output can be produced. This level of output is called the full employment level of national income. This level of output is called the full employment level of national income. So this is what it means. Full employment level of national income. That is, everybody is employed. There is a only involuntary unemployment exists. Everybody else is employed. So no more output can be produced. That's what the assumption says. As you can see, assumption in itself is very unrealistic. But you have to know the meaning of this assumption. This assumption is, mentioned many times in various theories. And okay, next assumption is. I hope it's clear now. What do you mean by full employment level of income? Is it clear? The concept is clear now? There is no government interference in the functioning of the economy. There is no government interference on the functioning of the economy. Laissez-faire का concept. अच्छा, no interference ये classical का है. ये laissez-faire classical से उठाया है उन्होंने. So mix है कहीं ना कहीं. The model is based on the assumption of closed economy. Closed economy का concept इसलिए लिया जाता है. ये क्यों assumption किया जाता है? Because open economy creates a lot of problem. उसमें trade include करना पड़ता है. So and the trade is a dynamic concept. तो closed economy static होता है, तो इसलिए सारी चीजें ज़्यादातर constant रखी जाती हैं assumptions में. The government restriction on trade and the complication caused by international trade are ruled down. So that's why ये तीन बहुत important assumptions हैं एनाडोमल मॉडल के. याद करिएगा, लर्न करिएगा, लेकिन साथ में अंडरस्टैंड भी करिएगा, क्योंकि जो आप लोग नेट का पेपर देते हैं उसमें जो क्वेश्चंस आते हैं वो इन्हीं सब चीज़ों से आते हैं, assumptions से आते हैं. कॉन्सेप्ट से तो आते ही, assumption वगैरह से भी बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. ये assumption है कि नहीं है उसका. सो ये नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. इसमें देखिए, there are no lags in adjustment of variables. That is, the economic variables such as saving, investment, income, expenditure adjust themselves completely within the same period of time. Unrealistic assumption मैं यही मैं बताती चल रही हूँ कि criticism कहाँ से आएगा इस theory का. लैग नहीं है एडजस्टमेंट में, ऐसा होता नहीं है. देयर इज ऑलवेज अ लैग. लैग का मतलब होता है गैप. सेविंग अपने आप में ही इन्वेस्टमेंट में कन्वर्ट हो जाए उसी पीरियड में जिस पीरियड की बात हो रही है, डजंट हैपन दैट वे. इट रिक्वायर्स लॉट ऑफ देयर इज ऑलवेज अ लैग. फिर इनकम एक्सपेंडिचर अपने आप एडजस्ट हो जाए विद द सेम पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ऑल्सो. ये सारे वेरिएबल जितने भी यहाँ लिखे हैं, सेविंग, इन्वेस्टमेंट, इनकम, एक्सपेंडिचर, इन सब में लैग होता है, क्योंकि इन द अदर फैक्टर्स also affects these variables. Like saving get affected by income. तो एक अगर ऑटो कोरिलेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट ही आप देख लें तो प्रीवियसली जो भी चीज हुई होगी वो इस साल हो सकता है सेविंग और इनकम दोनों को इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है. तो फिर उसमें फिर कैसे होगा? हाउ विल द सेविंग विल एडजस्ट इटसेल्फ. अभी जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल यही पीरियड ले लीजिए, दिस एकदम दिस बैलेंस का, दिस इक्विलिब्रियम का पीरियड है. there is a lot of the variables are just इधर उधर जा रहे हैं. जीडीपी ग्रोथ रेट तो माइनस में ही चली गई, तो अब वो कैसे लैग, अब ये कितने साल लगेंगे इसको रिकवर होने में? The economists are of the view that it will require at least 3 years. Somebody is saying 4 years, somebody is saying it will require 2 years. So what is happening? ये लैग है, ये गैप है. अब ये लैग और गैप ऑटोमेटिक एडजस्टमेंट इस पीरियड में तो नहीं हो पाएगा. So, इस तरीके से ऐसी ही कई अनसर्टेन चीजें हो जाती हैं, जैसे कि पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी है, फ्लड है, अर्थक्वेक है, इस तरीके की चीजें जिसमें कि मासेस अफेक्टेड होती हैं, मासेस की इनकम अफेक्टेड होती है. तो इनकम अफेक्टेड, देखिए इस समय इनकम अफेक्टेड है. देयर आर सो मेनी layovers are happening, then there are cuts in wages, lot of problems happening at that time. तो उसमें आप कैसे एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि सेविंग रेट, इन्वेस्टमेंट रेट, एक्सपेंडिचर, इनकम, इस तरीके के मैक्रो वेरिएबल्स वर्क भी कर पाएंगे? और एडजस्टमेंट में टाइम लैग, बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लैग लगेगा. तो इसलिए Assumptions have been kept to simplify the theory, but there are always lags in adjustment of such variables. And average propensity, APS or MPS का concept, Keynesian concept, they are equal to each other. Again, this concept is very unrealistic. S upon y is equal to delta S upon delta y, क्योंकि APS is equal to C upon y, sorry S upon y. अच्छा, यहाँ पे एवरेज प्रोपेंसिटी टू सेव लिया है, कंजम्पशन नहीं लिया है. यहाँ पे एपीसी नहीं लिया गया, एपीएस लिया गया है, इस पे ध्यान दीजिएगा. एपीएस इज इक्वल टू एमपीएस. अक्सर नेट के क्वेश्चन में पूछा जाता है एपीसी इज इक्वल टू एमपीसी, कौन सा इसमें क्या कांस्टेंट रहता है हेरेडोमर मॉडल में. क्या कांस्टेंट रहता है हेरेडोमर मॉडल में, तो उसका आंसर है एपीएस इज इक्वल टू एमपीएस. मार्जिनल प्रोपेंसिटी टू सेव को इक्वल कर दिया एपीएस. ये कभी इक्वल होती नहीं है. MPS is constant in the short run, APS keeps on increasing. So इसलिए ये जो नीचे इक्वेशन लिखी है S upon y is equal to delta S upon delta y, S upon y APS की फॉर्मूला है और delta S upon delta y MPS का फॉर्मूला. But then again दोनों आपस में इक्वल होते नहीं हैं in real. But for the assumption's sake they have been kept equal or constant. Next. Very important assumption. Propensity to save a capital coefficient, that is capital output ratio, are given constant. The constant return. Capital output ratio is the one responsible for the increasing return, diminishing returns, and the constant returns actually. Because capital किस कितने उसमें combined हो रहा है, वही output को में result करता है. तो अगर कैपिटल इज ऑप्टिमली कंबाइंड, ठीक से कंबाइंड हो रहा है, फिक्स फैक्टर्स, वेरिएबल फैक्टर्स जो रिजल्ट करेंगे कैपिटल में, तो इंक्रीजिंग रिटर्न्स है. इसलिए इंक्रीजिंग या डिमिनिशिंग रिटर्न्स को लेने के बजाय दे हैव टेकन कांस्टेंट रिटर्न्स ऑपरेटर्स इन द इकोनॉमी बिकॉज ऑफ द फिक्सिटी ऑफ द कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो. So both propensity to save and capital coefficient, they both are being kept constant. Okay. Next slide. Income, investment, savings are all defined in the net sense. That is, they are considered over and above the depreciation. The depreciation rates are not included in these variables. So this is another assumption. सब net में दिया गया है. Net income, net investment, net saving. इसका मतलब ये है कि they have not included depreciation. Net में depreciation minus कर दिया जाता है. तो gross value नहीं ली गई है, net ही value ली गई है. So depreciation rates are not included in these variables. ये जो आप इनकम पढ़ रही हैं, ये ग्रॉस इनकम नहीं है, ये नेट इनकम है. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट assumption, saving and investment are equal in ex ante as well as ex post. Anybody can tell me a difference between ex ante and ex post? Anybody can tell me a difference between these two concepts? What do you mean by ex ante? What do you mean by ex post? In terms of saving. Anybody has an idea? No? Okay. Write it down. Ex ante savings refer to the desired saving. Ex ante saving refers to the desired savings or planned savings. Desired savings or planned savings during the period of 1 year. During the period of 1 year. This is what it means. Ex ante saving refers to the desired saving or planned saving during the period of 1 year. This is the saving which is intended to be made in the economy. This is the saving which is intended to be made in the economy during the period of 1 year. During the period of 1 year. So this is what is ex ante means, what is expected, what is desired. Desired word को underline कर लीजिए. This is the country expecting. This is how much they require actually. Exposed saving refers to the actual saving in the economy. Exposed is the actual saving, refers to the actual saving in the economy from the given level of income. From the given level of income. From the given level of income. Okay, that's the difference. So ex ante saving refers to the desired saving or the planned saving. This is what country requires. And exposed is the actual saving that is existing in the country, in the economy from the given level of income during the period of 1 year. Okay, during the period of 1 year, and this aspect of saving is considered. This aspect of saving is considered in the calculation of national income. This aspect of saving is considered in the calculation of national income. So, ये है ex ante और exposed saving. बहुत बार ये term इस्तेमाल होगा. So, आपका जो assumption है, saving and investment are equal in ex ante as well as exposed sense. That is, there is a accounting as well as functional equality between saving and investment. तो ये टर्म तब तक नहीं समझ में आएगा जब एग्जांटे या एक्सपोज नहीं समझ में आएगा. तो ये तो सेविंग के टर्म में है. अब आप इन्वेस्टमेंट के टर्म में लिखिए. व्हाट डज इट मीन? एग्जांटे इन्वेस्टमेंट रिफर्स टू द डिजायर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट और प्लान्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट. इसलिए मैंने शुरू में लिखवाया था. दिस इज केनीजियन इकोनॉमिक्स में अभी इक्वेशन दी थी तो आई में लिखवाया था प्लान्ड एक्सपेंडिचर है. तो प्लान्ड एक्सपेंडिचर या प्लान्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट इस तरीके के वर्ड जब इस्तेमाल किए जा रहे हैं, so that means जानते हैं that is investment refers to the desired investment or planned investment during the period of 1 year. ये intention है. This particular expenditure, investment expenditure which is intended to be made in the economy. So desired है. That is the intention. And exposed investment refers to the actual investment in the economy during the period of 1 year. Don't forget to write during the period of 1 year. Exposed investment refers to the actual investment in the economy during the period of 1 year. So, exam saving, investment, exam post, and exam saving, and exam exposed saving. I hope the difference is clear. One is, I'm again repeating this, one is desired and one is actual. Where ANT is used, desire, where POST, that is post, is used, that means actual. So remember this. There is accounting as well as functional equality between saving and investment. So functional equality level पे भी, that is desired level पे भी और actual level पे भी, they are saying कि दोनों जो है वो equal है. Again, unrealistic assumption, but still important for the theory. So next slide. Now, Harry number growth model raised 3 issues. इसको बहुत ध्यान से लिख लीजिए अपनी कॉपीज में. इसी पे सब तीनों चीजें based हैं. Basically, they were looking for the answers to these 3 questions. The first is, how can steady growth be achieved for an economy with a fixed capital output ratio, capital coefficient, and a fixed saving income ratio? दोनों उन्होंने fix कर रखे थे. So they said कि कैसे achieve, how can we achieve a steady growth rate when we have kept capital output ratio and capital income saving ratio also fixed. Yeah. Second one, how can a steady growth rate be maintained? एक बार achieve कर ली growth, तो वो enough नहीं होता है. Growth achieving is not enough. You have to maintain that. So how can the steady growth rate be maintained? Or how can we, or what are the conditions for maintaining steady uninterrupted growth? So that was the second question. How can this be maintained? The third question was, how do the natural factors put a ceiling on the growth rate of the economy? How do the natural factors put a ceiling on the growth rate of the economy? Meaning, what are the natural factors that can, hamper the growth rate, if there are any? Natural factors he has discussed ahead. So, एक ये है कि कैसे अचीव करें, एक ये है, दूसरा है कैसे मेंटेन करें ग्रोथ को, और तीसरा है कि नेचुरल फैक्टर्स किस तरीके से हैम्पर कर सकते हैं ग्रोथ रेट. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स. ओके. Mahima, can you hear me? Mahima, can you hear me? Okay, moving on. Harrod had adopted three different concepts of growth rate: the actual growth rate, G, the warranted growth rate, GW, and the natural growth rate, GN. So यही theory है, इन तीनों के बीच का balance ही growth rate में use किया गया है. The balance between actual growth, the balance between warranted growth and natural growth. The balance between these three is known as knife edge balance. And knife edge balance problem was actually just mentioned in Harrod-Doman model. It was not solved by Harrod. The knife edge balance was actually solved by Solow. So that is why whenever we study a Harrod-Doman model, just after Harrod-Doman model, you have to study Solow, because Solow is a kind of a continuation of the Harrod-Doman model. So anyway, these three are both. These are the different examples of the growth rates that he used. He said there are three kinds of a growth rate in the economy, not just one. The one is actual growth rate, the another one is warranted growth rate, and then there is a natural growth rate. Let's see what's the difference between the three. Next slide. And this is the actual growth rate. Diksha, read करो इसको. No, delta by 1 by, yes. आगे. Thank you. The actual growth rate का phenomenon सारे factors जो आपके पास हैं, तो ex ante का concept इस्तेमाल नहीं होगा, actual है, इसलिए ex post का concept इस्तेमाल होगा. Ex post का concept saving में भी इस्तेमाल होगा, ex post का concept investment में भी इस्तेमाल होगा. As I said, ex post means actual. So actual growth rate, as it's written over here, is determined by the actual rate of saving and investment. So ex post in the country, it can be defined as the ratio of change in income, that is delta I to total income Y in the given period. If actual growth rate को determine करना हो तो क्या लिखेंगे? G is equal to delta Y upon Y. सिर्फ theories, सिर्फ equation लिखिएगा आप लोग, तो उससे थोड़ा clear होगा. G is equal to delta Y upon Y. तो delta Y है change in income divided by the total income. The actual growth rate is determined by दो और concepts से determine होगा, saving in income ratio and capital output ratio. Both the factors have been taken as fixed, जैसे कि बताया था assumption में. The relationship between actual growth rate and its determinants was expressed as, as you can see over here, it's written GC is equal to small s. Now, where G is represented as actual growth rate and C को जो उन्होंने कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो बोला, तो अब आप ऐसा करिए कि इस इक्वेशन में सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दीजिए, C की जगह लिखिए डेल्टा के अपॉन डेल्टा वाई, और S की जगह सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दीजिए डेल्टा एस अपॉन डेल्टा वाई। आप इस इक्वेशन को देखिए, आपको क्या लग रहा है, इसमें कुछ आप एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं, समथिंग विच यू कैन सी? G into delta k upon delta y, which is equal to delta s upon delta y. और अगर हम अब एक काम और करिए, सेकेंड इक्वेशन में ऐसा करिए, डेल्टा के अपॉन डेल्टा वाई को राइट हैंड साइड ले आइए, तो हो जाएगा G इज इक्वल टू डेल्टा के अपॉन डेल्टा वाई एंड डेल्टा एस अपॉन डेल्टा वाई। इस केस में हो क्या रहा है कि आपका जो डिनोमिनेटर है वो सेम है, डेल्टा वाई, which means that both saving and capital output ratio both are dependent on one thing and one thing only, and that is income. Income or change in income, delta, yes. So delta k upon और delta s दोनों जो हैं इनकम के कॉन्सेप्ट। तो अब यहाँ पे बहुत सीधी सी चीज है कि आपको कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो, देखिए ड्यूअलिटी है, देखिए यहाँ पे पीछे कहा गया था कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो चाहिए अच्छा तो इनकम बढ़ाइए, सिंपल वर्ड्स में, और सेविंग चाहिए आपको जो कि इन्वेस्टमेंट में कन्वर्ट होगी, तो क्या करना है, इनकम बढ़ाइए। ईदर वे इनकम ही है जो एक लिंकेज है दोनों के बीच में, इसलिए पर कैपिटा इनकम पे स्ट्रेस है, इसलिए नेशनल इनकम इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। दीज टू कॉन्सेप्ट मैक्रो वेरिएबल्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। बट नेशनल इनकम तो फिर एक मैनिपुलेटेड चीज है, मगर पर कैपिटा इनकम दैट इज पर पर्सन कितनी इनकम है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, वो ट्रांसलेट होती है यहाँ, इसलिए इनकम डेल्टा वाई इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अब डेल्टा वाई का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो इसने डिमांड साइड से नहीं समझाया, वो डोमर ने समझाया था। तो यहाँ पे हैरेट का जो एक्चुअल ग्रोथ रेट का बात थी वो उसने बता दिया कि एक्चुअल ग्रोथ रेट चाहिए तो सीधी सी चीज है कि ग्रोथ जो है वो डेल्टा वाई अपॉन वाई पे डिपेंड कर रही है, और इसको अगर आप सेविंग और कैपिटल आउटपुट के डिटर्मिनेंट के टर्म में देखेंगे तो भी आपको डेल्टा वाई ही आपका आंसर आएगा। So either way, what he was trying to say, the actual growth rate is nothing but the income at delta y, that is the change in income. और जितना आपकी डेल्टा वाई बढ़ेगा मल्टीप्लायर टाइम्स उतना एक्चुअल ग्रोथ रेट बढ़ेगी। That's what he was trying to say. And I have a next slide. देखिए इसमें पूरा दिया हुआ है, इसमें इक्वेशंस दी हुई है, सिंस g is equal to, that's what I was saying, डेल्टा y अपॉन y, तो c is equal to डेल्टा k अपॉन y, और उसमें से i अपॉन डेल्टा y, क्योंकि डेल्टा k इज इक्वल टू i उन्होंने ले लिया, क्योंकि k जो होता है वो कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ कैपिटल और इन्वेस्टमेंट से सब्स्टिट्यूट हो सकता है, तो और s स्मॉल s बताया s अपॉन y पे, अब सारी चीजों को सब्स्टिट्यूट किया तो उनके पास आया i इज इक्वल टू s। देखिए सेम डिनोमिनेटर्स बाय, ऊपर डेल्टा y सेम थे, substituting the value of g, c and s in equation 1 we get this और इसको जब आप सब्स्टिट्यूट कर देंगे तो आपके पास ये सब कट हो जाएगा, यू विल बी लेफ्ट विद जस्ट i अपॉन y इज इक्वल टू s अपॉन y। तो जब सेम वो होता है डिनोमिनेटर तो यू कैन रिमूव दैट एंड i इज इक्वल टू s। तो इसलिए इनकम इज द लिंकेज बिटवीन दिस पर्टिकुलर मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इक्वेशन इन इकोनॉमिक्स। This is one of the most important equation in economics. I is equal to S. And I, आप लोगों को समझ में आया कैसे आया? You can substitute it, right? It's very simple. Did you get it? Can you substitute these figures? Okay, it's very simple, I think. For others, please बता दीजिए. Other people? who are here? I hope this substitution is simple. Okay, it's simple for Sanskriti. I want yes from everybody so that. What about these two? Mahima, if you can understand, and Rima, if you can write down something, I'll be grateful. Moving on. Okay, that's nice. Okay. I is equal to S. Uh, Warranted देखते हैं next वाला. Then I'll stop and I'll take up in the next class. Harrod introduced the warranted growth rate. अब actual आपने देखा, this is the growth rate at which all saving is absorbed into investment. Let us assume the saving rate is 10%. देखिए एक example से समझाया. And the capital output ratio is 4. In other words, 10 billion pound of investment increases output by 2.5 billion. In this case, the economy's warranted growth rate is 2.5%. अगर समझ में ना आ रहा हो तो इसको जरा करके देखिएगा, इस वाली स्लाइड को, इसके सारे वो लिख लीजिए, प्रॉब्लम्स के सारे नंबर लिख लीजिए, because this is what you are supposed to solve. This is how you are supposed to solve warranted growth rate. So the saving rate is 10%. The capital output ratio is 4. How did he got this figure of 2.5 billion? You have to answer this. It's written over there. And this is the growth rate at which the ratio of capital to output would stay constant at 4. This is what you are supposed to explain. Next slide. I will not go into this slide. Previously लगा दो picture. Warranted growth वाली ही लगाओ. Warranted growth वाला ही पहले ये वाला आप इसको solve करिएगा. I will just finish it off here. Will not move further. So इसको थोड़ा सा study करिए. Whatever I have said, and then I'll come to another concepts. Warranted growth rate. Yes, this one. So note all these things, and we will discuss this in the first. I will start with the discussion only, then I'll. Anybody wants to